Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chapters. I'm Amy Deal, and my guest today is Laura Jackson. Laura is an environmental writer and humorist. She's a lifelong West Virginian, and she lives in Wheeling, where she loves to spend time with her sons on both mountains and in rivers. She's also mother of her fur baby, Minnie. In October, Laura released her book, Deep and Wild. It's an essay collection in which she employs her knowledge and curiosity to describe life in West Virginia as it really is, while dismantling stereotypes that are portrayed in popular media. Welcome to Chapters, Laura.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm excited to have you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's talk about this amazing book. What inspired you to write Deep and Wild?
Well, like you said, I am a lifelong West Virginian. And so over the course of 45 years, I've accumulated an awful lot of stories, done a lot of traveling. I've had a lot of wonderful experiences in West Virginia. And then I've also had a lot of experiences beyond West Virginia where I meet people from other places. And it gradually became clear over the years that the rest of the world, the rest of the country has no idea what is going on in West Virginia. They know we have a really big bridge. They know we drink moonshine and they know we dig a lot of coal out of the earth, but the rest of it tends to be stereotypes and misinformation. And occasionally, someone from the rest of the country will wander in here and discover how beautiful it is, and they'll leave West Virginia and go, "Oh my God, it's stunning."
Uh-huh.
But I don't think everybody knows that. And even more importantly, I don't think everybody knows why West Virginians do love it here and choose to stay here.
Uh-huh.
So there are a lot of those narratives that I wanted to share with the rest of the world.
Uh-huh. That's so true because we get portrayed so negatively sometimes.
Yeah,
It's just some of it you
it's
just
tough.
read it and you go, how did you come up with that?
Where did you even get that? And you know
Yeah,
that the late night TV, the incest jokes and the three teeth jokes, and it just goes on and on. It's
yeah,
tough.
not educated and
Right, right.
no cities, everybody lives up a holler, and
Mhm.
no education, it's just no. So we definitely needed this book, I believe. Did anything in particular, was there a particular incident that inspired you to write the book?
Not a particular incident, but it was when I got to be a mom um, of kids that were old enough to really do some traveling.
Mhm.
And I'd spent my whole life traveling around the state and having these experiences with my parents, skiing and hiking and camping and paddling down rivers. And when I was able to share that with my kids, um, that's when I started realizing how important these things were to me and how important it was to me to be able to share that with the rest of the world. So the older they got, the more I took them to see, and the more those stories started to accumulate. And that's when they started to become essays.
Mhm. Perfect. Okay. What would you say the key message or theme is that you want readers to take away from this book when they're done?
It's that West Virginia is really complicated. I just spent a few minutes talking about how wonderful West Virginia is, and it is the mountains and the rivers you can see behind me. This is Germany Valley in Pendleton County. And it's
Or
a beautiful, wonderful place that we truly love, but it's also very complicated because it's no secret that we have problems with poverty and addiction, and we have health problems, and we have environmental degradation. And so it's a complicated life here. And an awful lot of us are both happy here and at the same time we want to go somewhere else. Sometimes we feel trapped and sometimes we feel grateful to be here.
uh,
And so that complexity and that dichotomy is it's something that I really wanted to convey because it's not all wine and roses here. And it's not terrible either.
uh,
We're complicated people. It's a complicated place. But there are reasons why we're here, and there are reasons why we're so proud to be West Virginians.
right. We have so much history and amazing history. We have bad history too, but we have,
Yeah.
great history and we have great people and, families, they pass down traditions, they pass down crafts.
Yep.
like woodworking and,
Hmm.
farming or anything. And so it's just a rich culture that we have here. And I do believe more people need to come here and experience it and see the artisans that we have and the craftsmen that we have. And just,
Absolutely.
I think everyone could love it here and find something about it that would make them want to come back.
I do too. I do too. And most importantly, if you love the outdoors, and it's a wonderful place. But in terms of community, there is really is something for everyone here. Um, Except maybe like the concrete downtown pavement lovers. That would be a little harder. But if you want to find community, um, we're your place.
Right? And you're always going to be made to feel welcome. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've never
Absolutely.
been,
I have never met anyone who came to West Virginia for the first time and said, "Oh, it was absolutely horrible." They're always wonderfully surprised. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how nice and kind and welcoming everyone was.
yeah.
And I'd like to hope that's the experience that most visitors do indeed have.
Uh-huh. I know I've never been anywhere in the state and I've been to a lot of places. Everybody just makes you feel right at home. The smaller places, they'll know that you're not from there. And
Definitely.
they'll come up though
Definitely.
and they'll welcome you and they'll ask you, where you're from and and then sometimes they know someone that lives in Huntington and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, do you know so
Yep.
and so?" Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I just always love talking to the people. You'll just always find something interesting
Hmm.
and just really get to know people for who they are. You just have to start the conversation.
Absolutely. Or, just as often they'll start it with you. They sometimes you can't escape the conversations. But
Right.
West Virginia, I always say there's 2 degrees of separation. So anywhere you are in West Virginia, you're probably, at least if you're a West Virginian, you're no more than 2 degrees removed from anybody else in West Virginia, whether that's from Huntington to Charlestown or Wheeling to Bluefield, there's always just about one person between you.
Exactly. I've never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. That is how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Eat your heart out, Kevin Bacon.
Right. We got you beat. All right. So I know you love to travel the state and visit all the state parks and the trails and the waterfalls and all that. Um, I know those visits helped you formulate the essays that went into making up the book. Um, did you do like any special visits that just for the book, like go anywhere specifically because you wanted to write about it for the book?
A little bit, but by the time I had assembled the book, like I said, I had 45 years worth of travels. And also when my kids got a little bit older is when I really ramped up the travel to all the state parks and the mountain ranges and the ski resorts and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I did go back and revisit some of the places to jog my memory. But mostly it was already in my memory banks, and so many places are are burned into your brain.
Burned into
Hi,
your brain.
Brian. Yeah. Are indeed burned into your brain, and it can be hard to forget them in a very good way. But
Yeah.
and also I think that most West Virginians have our haunts. I'm from the Northern Panhandle, and so everybody in the Northern Panhandle tends to go to Canaan Valley, to Tucker County and Randolph County and Pendleton, so Seneca Rocks, Spruce Knob, Delhi Sods, Canaan Valley, that kind of thing. And so a fair amount of the stories came from those places because that's where I've been going since I was very small, so that's just part of the tapestry of the Jackson family.
Right. That's true. Everybody has their places that they go.
Yeah,
Around
yeah,
here, everybody loves if they're going to like a park or something, everybody will go to Beach Fork State Park and
yeah.
there's camping and there's water activities and all that. There's also East Lynn. And, people make it a tradition every year. They go at specific times. They reserve their spot every year.
Yep.
So it's their family tradition, like you said, to
Mhm.
always go to this place over, Memorial Day weekend, Fourth of July weekend. So we're definitely people that are creatures of habit. We like
We
we
are.
like
We
our
are.
we like our places, and that's a good thing.
We
Um,
do. But there are places I've started, visiting more of the places in the southern part of the state, which it's
mhm,
hard to get to the southern part of the state from Wheeling.
right.
It's a 4 hour drive. It's a long haul.
Uh-huh.
Um, so in recent years, I've started seeing more of the southern part of the state. And so I guess that's fodder for the next book.
Yeah. And I know, like, when I came up to Wheeling, and stayed with you that weekend, that was my first time in Wheeling. That was my first time
Yep.
driving all the way up there, and it was
Yeah,
wonderful. I loved
great
it,
an
you
adventure.
know.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts experience was not good.
Yes, we
But
got trapped in a drive-through at Wheeling's first
yes,
Dunkin' Donuts. So
yes,
that was, but
they
that's
had, yes. To leave the
we
parking lot, you had to go through the drive-through lane. There was like no way out of the parking lot. If you parked and went inside and came back out to your car, the only way to leave was through the drive-through. And this drive-through was two lanes and just full of cars. So we were there
yep.
forever. It was, and when you're
Yeah,
not
yeah, we
patient,
were late to our event, but
yes, when you're
we
an
did get
impatient
donuts.
person, that's, I was,
It was a yeah, that was a tough wait, but
I was ready to just
usually
drive over
Wheeling
the
does better
barricade.
than that. But usually donuts are good.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have a favorite place in West Virginia that you love to go?
My favorite place is Pendleton County, which you can
Hmm.
see
I could see
behind me.
why. That's
Yeah, yeah.
gorgeous.
So this is Germany Valley. And the thing I like about Pendleton County, there are two sort of, I mean, there are many landscapes in West Virginia, but when you get to the eastern part of the state, the mountains, when I was a kid, my dad would say West Virginia has mashed potato mountains, and then it has like long mountains. And when I got older, I did a little research and learned that the long mountains that run, run the length of the state up and down, that's the Ridge and Valley province. And that's a different type of mountain where the continents crashed together, eons ago. And so they've created like these super long, super high mountains. They're the tallest part of the state. Um, and that's my favorite by far. Seneca Rocks and Spruce Knob, Dolly Sods, like I mentioned. There's wonderful hiking. It's incredibly remote. You can just go south to Pocahontas County. You can go to Cass. You can go to Green Bank Telescope. Um, but Pendleton County is wild. And it feels very removed and remote, and there's often not cell service, and so you can get lost in a trout stream,
Right.
or sit and listen to the wind whistling through red spruce on the top of a mountain, and it's by far the place in the world where I find the most peace. I just feel
Yeah.
like that's where I belong. That's where my heart is in Pendleton County. But I've been in a lot of amazing places in this state. So when I say it's my favorite, it's the top of a short list
Short
of
list.
really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Cass. That's actually on my list this year that I want to go. I went when I was a kid, but I love trains, always have, always
We
will.
do.
So I definitely want to go back up there and like ride the train and experience it all over again. Because like I said, I was a kid the first time I was the only time I've been there, and it was kind of like I didn't appreciate it like I want
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah. Well, I remember there's a picture of me when I'm like 7 doing this because it's
Yes.
super loud, super
Yes.
loud. As an adult, if anything, it's even louder. So bring your earplugs. But I
Okay.
did it last fall. And it was in late September. It was a bluebird day, and the colors were changing. And Pocahontas County is just so stunning. So
Yeah.
that's a good trip,
That,
definitely. And then you can
that's,
stay at Snowshoe because it's just one mountain over, and so you can have the snowshoe experience too.
ooh, I'll have to check that
Ooh,
out.
yeah, definitely,
I don't
definitely.
think I've ever been there, maybe. I can't remember, but
Well, it's great for skiing in the winter, but it's a hopping place in the summer too. There's a lot of mountain biking, and then there's restaurants and shopping and just gorgeous, gorgeous views.
wait, you had me at shopping. Nope.
I know, I know.
Go any further, you had me at shopping. So let's talk about future works. Are you working on anything at the present that you can or would like to share with us?
Absolutely. So my next project is sort of a fun, lighthearted project, and it's called 100 Things in to Do in Wheeling, West Virginia Before You Die. And that's going to be a guide for people who are coming to Wheeling to see all their favorite restaurants and shopping and hiking and things to do in the immediate area just outside Wheeling, like the West Virginia Penitentiary. Um, and we have a wonderful zoo. So that's fun, and that's not a difficult write. That's just enjoyable, and I get to talk to all the business owners and the people in Wheeling who have exciting things going on, festivals and that kind of thing. So that is next. But then in terms of a bigger project, I'm working on a book about varmints. And you've read Deep and Wild, so there are a fair amount of critters in this book.
There are. Yes.
There are essays about bats and opossums and caddisflies and lightning bugs and all this kind of stuff. And so I've been interested in critters for a long time, and so I'm starting to think about where critters fit in our lives ecologically and what role they're going to play as climate change advances and that kind of thing. And so that's the long-term project is writing about varmints.
Right.
And we have no shortage of them. We have opossums and we have raccoons and bears, and we even have porcupines in the east and groundhog. It's Groundhog Day today that we're recording this, and so
Yes.
we have French Creek Freddy, who I do believe saw his shadow today, a little bugger.
Oh,
But
so did that groundhog. 6 more
yeah,
weeks. Yep.
yeah. And so and then Canada geese. There's nothing varmintier than a Canada goose, I think.
Gooses. Goose.
Yes,
Geese.
gooses at gooses. Yes, and you and I have spent a fair amount of time at Cedar Lakes and Ripley where they do have gooses.
Yes.
We've
Yes.
we've all
I
met a
would.
goose or 10, at the West Virginia Writers Conference, and it just
Right.
really adds flavor. It's a yeah,
There's a lot of fun at Cedar Lakes. We like that,
yeah, we
walk
do
around and all that fun stuff.
definitely.
Um, okay. So as we kind of finish up the interview, I would like my listeners and viewers to get to know Laura Jackson a little better. All right. So do you have a favorite author?
I don't have one favorite author, but there are a couple that I return to often. And the one I always mention in interviews first is John Krakauer. And he's sort of an environmental writer. And he wrote a book on Mount Everest called Into Thin Air. And he wrote Into the Wild about Christopher McCandless. And he's just a phenomenal storyteller. And he's an incredible researcher. He's one of those people that can research and then translate it very well into subject material that we can not only read but become immersed in. And that leads me to my other go-to authors. One of my favorite authors is Mary Roach, and she is a science writer. And she does a phenomenal job of taking pretty heavy-duty research and translating it into into a way that the average reader can understand. And this is what I do in my day job. I'm also a
Right.
research writer. I interview scientists, and then I take the research and I explain it for the average reader. And that's not an easy thing to do sometimes. But Mary Roach does it really well. And she does it with humor too. She's hilariously funny. And the reader goes along with her on these journeys in which she discovers these things. Like she's written one about cadavers, and she's written one about the digestive system, which, on first glance, that seems kind of boring, but it's fascinating, and she does an
Mhm.
amazing job. So, she in particular is one of my favorites, and I'm working on one of her books right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that we came into your house, and after we get distracted by Minnie and her cuteness and giving
Right.
her all the loves and rubs, um, what book would we find that you're currently reading?
Okay, well, you would probably find two or three, because I can't commit, and I wouldn't be as far through them as one would hope because I'm middle-aged and I fall asleep after about 3 pages. So all my writer friends who read just like crazy fast, I don't know how y'all are staying awake.
I can
But
read crazy, but
the
I
two
do
books
read
that
Baltimore.
are, yeah, and in the car, oh my gosh, if you listen to a book, an audio book, it's also incredibly hypnotic. So
Uh-huh.
I have the deck stacked against me when it comes to staying awake. But currently on my nightstand, I'm reading Krakatoa, The Day the World Exploded by Simon Winchester, because I love geology. And I'm also rereading Strange as This Weather Has Been by Anne Pancake. And that is a work of fiction that she did not too long ago, and it's about mountaintop removal in West Virginia. So those are at the top of the pile, and then there are an awful lot of others. But as anyone who knows a writer knows, there's probably about 9 or 10 or 15 books scattered
Oh,
around, on the nightstand, on the bed, in the living room. There's one in the kitchen. There's always one in the bathroom. They're just, yeah.
yeah.
But those are the two that I'm actually working on right now.
I have books everywhere. You'll find them everywhere.
Well, look at your background.
I wish that was my bookcase. My bookcase is never that organized.
No, no, not
It's
at all.
got like three shelves of books, and then the shelf in the middle is, believe it or not, full of models of starships from Star Trek.
Right, right. Well,
So yeah,
we put
I
it
mean,
together. Yeah,
I'm a Trekkie, so
yeah,
I've got
absolutely.
all the
Couple of,
ships. Yeah, so yeah, but my bookshelf is they're just hodgepodged up there. I try to find a system, and then I'm just like, not working,
yeah, yeah.
not working. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any readings or book signings coming up in the near future that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, actually on let's see, on February 15th, I will be at the Kanawha County Library at 2
Okay.
p.m. and I'll be giving I won't talk too long. I always promise people I won't talk too long. You're there to
Mhm.
hear me read and I will do so, but I will talk a little bit. And okay, Kanawha County Library, February 15th at 2. And then the next day, the 16th, Sunday, I will be at Book Tenders in Barbersville at
Oh,
1 p.m. So
yes.
that's your neck of the woods.
That's down my way. Yes.
Yes, yes. And so if people want to sort of follow me on social media, they'll be able to check in a little later in the late winter, early spring, because I have plans to be in Clarksburg and Wardensville and probably some more wheeling events. So I'm trying to hop around the state, but Charleston and Barboursville in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. You'll have a great turnout in at Barbersville Book Tenders because people here just go there in droves anyway, but they love an event. And
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah,
yeah, Ashley and Mandy put on some good events. So
yeah. Well,
we always have a
barbecue
lot
is
of
always
fun.
a tough act
Yes,
to follow, but I'll do my best.
you'll be amazing as
Oh,
always.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so where can you show us Deep and Wild, the book? Show us
Oh,
the book, what it looks
absolutely.
like?
Now my copy's a little scarfy because it's been through
Right.
the wait, I gotta
Oh, there we
there we
go.
go.
Yes. Deep and
Yeah.
Wild, Laura
So
Jackson. Yes. And there's an
yep,
awesome on
yep.
there. So,
And on the
and
back,
I love that photo.
yeah, this is my author photo, and you
You've
can
got
see
more
that
mileage out of that photo because it's just amazing,
four I've got four opossums on my head. I have a
right?
wonderful friend who will help out folks who find abandoned opossum babies, and she will
Oh,
often help them raise the babies and then release them back into the wild where they can have a long, not a long, a very short life because they only live 2 years, but a short life
right.
of opossumly happiness.
Yeah.
So,
They're
but
so
I was
misunderstood.
indeed, yeah,
Yeah, they're just so misunderstood and people just
they are.
stereotypes about them that are incorrect.
Yes, and you can read all about opossums in the
hmm
book.
In the
In the
book.
book.
See how
All
I
kinds
just kind of segued into that for you?
just like that, just like that. There's a critter for every occasion.
A critter for every occasion.
You can always work the conversation back to critters.
Okay. So, oh, wait, tell us where we can buy it.
Oh, okay. Well, so it's appearing in more and more bookstores around the state as I reach out to bookstores, but currently you can
Right.
find it at Taylor Books in Charleston. You can find it at Tamarack. You can find it at most Barnes and Nobles. I don't know how many there even are in the state, but there's a bunch of copies at the Morgantown Barnes and Noble.
hmm
You can find it at A New Chapter in Lewisburg. You can find it at Wordplay in Wardensville. Hopefully soon you'll be able to get it in Plot Twist in Charleston. And then in Wheeling, in my neck of the woods, there's a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch of places, but several. You can get it at the Ogilvy Schrader Center. You can get it at the Wheeling Artisan Center. You can get it at my friend Amy's store, VC Wares in Center Market. And then
hmm
you can also buy it online, of course. But if you're going to buy it online, I always suggest that people go to Autumn House's website and buy it from Autumn House's website.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it
Definitely
is
always,
also available on Amazon as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yes. I always try to support the indie bookstores, the indie publishers, all that.
Definitely.
I'd much
Definitely.
rather give them my money.
Definitely. And then in the next month or two, I'll be recording the audio version. I was supposed to record the audio version a couple weeks ago, but it just kept snowing. And so we'd postpone it and then it would snow again and we'd postpone it and it would snow again. So
Yeah,
but that's coming as the audiobook. So if you are indeed like me and you fall asleep when you try to read a book,
that might be the way to go.
hopefully you can stay awake through the audiobook, but no judgment if you can't because
But Laura, your voice was so soothing, it put me right to sleep. I didn't have to take any sleep aids. I just listened to your
My
voice.
kids say that all the time. Fell right asleep the minute you started talking.
Yeah, but this would be a good thing because you do have a nice voice. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. There's something about humor in particular, and that's one thing to mention about the book. There's ecology and there's West Virginia, but it's lighthearted. It's humorous.
mhm,
So sometimes it can be hard for people who didn't write the book to read the book if it's humorous because there's a certain cadence and a little something extra when the author reads a book of humor. So
right,
I'm looking
exactly.
forward to doing that.
I know. I'm excited. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all I had. And I just want to thank you again for being my guest. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no
I'll see
problem.
you.
All right. I'll talk to you later. All
Alrighty,
right.
take care.
All right. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
I wanted to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.